mi burrito sabanero voy camino de Belén. Con mi burrito sabanero voy camino de Belén. Si me ven, voy camino de Belén.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is fucking serious news right now. Have you ever seen me in such a serious mood? A bunch of leaks have been put out on Reddit, and when I mean take this with a major grain of salt, I mean a big one. And these are about the 4th map that nobody really knows about for Black Ops 4. And this is classified. If you've ever played 5, you know, the Pentagon Zombies map from Black Ops 1, they're remaking that, and now they release a bunch of great things about this map. For example, the loading screen will have Samantha Maxis, you know, that one 9-year-old that we all talked about. They're adding more areas into the map, which is nice. There's a shield, that's cool, and when you think about it, that's kind of about it. Everything else in this leak is quite negative, and it's oddly specific, which is why it seems to be true. Special weapons are used to grant the player armor. The Juggernog perk is seemingly removed. Dog, are you fucking kidding me?
Tasha Robbins.
Come on. Feel that?
When you play zombies, what is the one perk that is an absolute necessity? It has to be Juggernog. In everybody's fucking top 5 perks list or ranking every perk video, they always disregard Juggernog because it's such a crutch perk. It's too damn good, and now it's gone? This is really bad news, and for people that don't understand why it's such a crutch perk, this is why. When you think of zombies, Juggernog is the staple for most people. Without Juggernog, it makes any map for the common player unplayable because it's just too difficult having only 2 hits until you're dead. World War II zombies, the last iteration, terrible iteration of zombies, could be argued that the reason most people could not play the maps and the reason why it was dead as fuck was because Juggernog was removed completely. Instead, they added a mechanic called armor, which is basically temporary Juggernog that makes you susceptible to 5 hits, but once you use your first 3, you ain't getting those motherfuckers back. You gotta buy them. Granted, for a game that wasn't made by Treyarch and that was trying to do something different, this was a very innovative idea because it wasn't trying to attract a large audience of people. It was trying to do something different. But for Treyarch to not have Juggernog, something that would seem like such a staple for anybody that's ever played zombies, this is very, very bad, no matter which way you look at it. There's a simple layer of nostalgia that I thought Treyarch understood that they can't really remove for players. These 2 things for me would seem like the perks and some of the weapons. Kinda seems that when I look back at it, Chronicles could have been Treyarch's way of saying, enjoy all these old things while they last, but now it's time to move on and to go into something that's almost not even zombies at this point. Let's talk about Treyarch's attempt at replacing Juggernog. So what they're essentially doing is they're dividing Juggernog into multiple perks. Defensive Tortoise, Stronghold, and Widow's Wail. As a side note, I think these names are too much to fit into a perk name, and they're kinda shit. Defensive Tortoise makes it so if the player has equipped the buildable shield, they are protected on all sides, and an explosive blast is created upon the shield being destroyed. Instantly, what I think the major problem is with this is that it's making the player interact with the map. And one of the major reasons why Origins and Mob of the Dead were amongst the community's favorites were because they were so variable. In Origins, you didn't really need to interact with a lot of things to be able to have fun and enjoy it. Just buy the doors and the generators and that's it. The staffs and the ultimate staffs and even the Easter egg comes for the later part of the map. The same thing applies with Mob of the Dead. You buy the doors and you use Afterlife and also hit the mystery box, but that's about it. The majority of the gameplay is you shooting some goddamn zombies. But what this description of Defensive Tortoise is saying is that every time you want to even simulate a little bit of Juggernog, you not only have to buy the perk by turning on the power, but you also have to create the shield and find every single one of its parts. This, in my opinion, is not good game design. The point of a perk is to reward the player for doing something, and in that doing something, that's turning on the power. But making players look up guides to find 3 random parts scattered around the map to find a shield to be able to even use this perk is kind of ridiculous, especially if the parts are hard to find. Now let's move on with Stronghold. Stronghold is a new perk that creates a defensive zone around the players while they shoot. Now this is similar to one of Jason Blundell's initial creations, Electric Cherry, that makes it so that an electric field would come around the player as soon as you reload, but this seems to be more strong. Now I have a feeling that this perk will be the substitute that people use for Juggernog initially, but it's too difficult right now to narrow down how good this perk actually is until we've played the game. One thing I will say is that even though Black Ops 3 had major overpowered gobblegums, that was the point, to turn even the most generic of players into powerhouses so that they can enjoy the map to the utmost while the hardcore players can as well. The problem with catering to such a minor category of your player base, such as World War II Zombies did with the hardcore players, is it makes the map unplayable if you're completely new to zombies. I can already hear people tell me in the comments that all people need to do is set the game to easy, but here's the problem with that. You're going to make all of these new players optimize their game of zombies by not making them actually become better, but just to switch some options outside of the game so they can even play it at all. And in my opinion, this is not good game design. So even though Stronghold is the most variable of the perks right now because we don't exactly know how strong it is, making players enjoy the game by using settings rather than improving is just not good. The last perk that simulates Juggernog is Widow's Wail, and for all of you that have played Black Ops 3, you'll know somewhat how this perk works. Similar to Widow's Wine, taking damage activates a defensive explosion which freezes zombies, and it has 2 charges before the cooldown. I don't really understand the reasoning behind overcomplicating perks that already worked in the first place. They're just taking the perks that we know and just kind of making them shittier. They believe that Juggernog is overpowered, and this might be the funniest part of it all, because one of the most questionable perks in all of Call of Duty Zombies history is PhD Flopper. It was put into the Black Ops 1 map Ascension and hailed as one of the greatest perks of all time because it completely nullified explosive damage, so they took it out of the game. Since Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3, they haven't put the perk inside an actual main map, and no, Mob the Dead Grief doesn't count. And we thought during that time of them taking out, they were making it better or modifying it in a certain way. But all of a sudden, look at this, guys, PhD Slider, it's back for Black Ops 4 without any goddamn changes. What? Like, I don't, the only difference now is that you slide instead of dolphin dive. This shit is so contradictory, it just doesn't make any sense. They take out Juggernog because they thought it was overpowered, but they are now replacing it with PhD Slider, which was something they previously considered overpowered. You tell me, ladies and gentlemen, you tell me. And I gotta be honest, this is the shit that makes me hope this leak is fake, because if it isn't, this is gonna make zombies too convoluted and complex to get into for the common player, and it seems that way already. Game Informer, a company that have already played a lot of Black Ops 4 Zombies, described their experience as a rabbit hole that just seems to keep digging away further and further. So if that has something to do with this, it would honestly make sense. Granted, boys, these are my initial reactions, and for a player like me who's been playing zombies for a while, this seems like an interesting change, but I just don't understand the reasoning behind it. It's cool also as well because they're adding a perk called Perception, which is a variation of a perk back in Buried called Vulture's Aid, which allowed you to see multiple weapons or perks through the walls, but instead this time it's just with the zombies. So I can see that they're catering to players with Vulture Aid here and PhD Flopper, but I don't understand why they're going away from such a major concept and switching to something like armor. And again, I don't like the idea of armor in zombies. I think it works perfectly for multiplayer and Blackout, as it's a much needed change for the whole way that the game works, but I really just cannot fucking stand armor in zombies. And especially now that you're going to need a specialist weapon to get it. This also narrows down a lot of replayability factors for certain challenges, and it's something that I'm not a fan of. World War II's health mechanics was one of the major reasons why I stayed clear away from the game, and if it's back for Black Ops 4, I really can't tell you how I'm gonna feel about it. Guys, let me know if I'm overreacting or if this is as serious to you as it is to me. I think dividing Juggernog into 4 or 5 different perks is an interesting idea, but it might make the game too complicated for a lot of people, especially since they're going into a map that they thought they once knew, which will now be 100% completely different. Again, we don't know if this is going to be exclusive for the Ether storyline stuff, and maybe the Chaos storyline will have Juggernog with the Alter system because there's 2 different perk systems in this game. I don't really know, but that is going to be it for today's video, guys. I did hope you enjoyed. If you did, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope this is not the case, lads. I'm getting fucking freaked out just thinking about it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you, ladies and gentlemen, in the next one.